Welcome back into the Dead Arm Sports Podcast. Quick hitter action for you on your Saturday. Got some betting tips for you and our Drew Locks of the week. So just again, quick show. Wanted to get you some more content this week, and Jell's going to fire up some betting nuggets. I'll chime in here and there as well. You can find us on our socials at Dead Arm Sports. Jell can be found at DasJel. That's at DASJEL. I can be found at DasJPEC. That's at DASJPEC. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out our YouTube page. Subscribe. Click the bell. You know the drill. Quick hitter. Let's get it rolling, Jell. Kick it off with some bets.
All right. Well, I want to start off right away with what I think is going to be the game of the week, and that's Baltimore versus Buffalo. Right now, Buffalo is a 3-point favorite, which means I'm taking the dog, man. I'm taking the Ravens. Given the 3 points, I think Baltimore has a very good shot at taking this game outright, and the fact that I'm able to get 3 points makes me want to double down on that thought. 3 points is one of those lines, too, where you put down your money, and if this game, let's say Buffalo ends up winning this game by 3, 27-24, you get no negative action here. So this feels like a winning, either a winning bet, or at the very least you end up tying here and there's no money exchanged one way or the other. I touched on this briefly on yesterday's episode, but for the Bills, 6 guys did not practice today. Again, we're recording this on a Thursday. That includes Von Miller and Jordan Phillips. So 2 key guys in that front 7 for Buffalo. 6 guys on Thursday's practice were limited. Ed Oliver, Jordan Poyer, Gabe Davis as well. We've seen the impact that Gabe Davis. Ed Oliver is obviously one of the best defensive linemen, and Jordan Poyer, all defense in the NFL as a safety. So 3 key guys that were limited in Thursday's practice. Buffalo is coming off a hell of a matchup against Miami in that Miami Heat, and I think that's also gonna be something that's gonna hurt Buffalo in this game. Baltimore, I think, is just ready to show that they're the number 1 team in the AFC. They're the number 1, or that they're at home, and I think that Baltimore wins this game outright. What's crazy to think is that Buffalo, if Baltimore wins this game, Buffalo goes to 2-2 on the season. But I really like Baltimore in the spot. The way that Lamar Jackson is playing, the way that Buffalo defense is just completely beat up. Again, 2 of the top guys in their front 7, really 3 other guys in their front 7 that are either limited in practice or did not practice at all. Jordan Poyer, top safety in the game, one of the top safeties in the game. Gabe Davis, difference maker. I think these injuries catch up to them. I also think the fact that Buffalo has not been able to establish any sort of run game at all this season. I really like Baltimore in this spot at home, really show who they are. And really, after this game, they should be undefeated. They just blew that one game to Miami. And I think that if they hadn't blown that game to Miami, Baltimore, this would probably be a pick'em game. I think that blowing that game to Miami was a little fluky, and I think Baltimore right now is playing like the better team, at least over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. No, I like that play a lot, and I think Buffalo does end up winning this game. I think they do cover the spread on that. Yeah, I mean, you had the butt punt in the Bills Miami game last week.
That's what saved.
Just fluky stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Only NFL one I have, I'll kick it back over to you, does not sound like Mac Jones is going to play. Green Bay right now is 9.5-point favorite at home. I like them to cover that spread. That's a big number, but with Brian Hoyer back there at quarterback, I think New England's going to be extremely limited. Packers are at home coming off of the win in Tampa last week. I like them covering the spread, especially if Mac Jones is out this week. Brian Hoyer, he's not going to be able to put up points.
Well, and the fact that that offense was already limited with Mac Jones in there. I mean, what I would bet that this would, even if Mac Jones was in there, 7.5, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much difference.
which is sad to say, but I think that's the reality of this Patriots offense right now. That offensive guard Cole Strange that they strangely took in the first round out of his small school had a solid first week, okay week 2. The last week was terrible. He was a sieve, and I think that as the Patriots, generally how those Patriots offensive lines work, deeper into the year that you get, the better, the stronger that their offensive line gets, given that Belichick is experienced as he is, but he's still working with a pretty young offensive line. And again, Cole Strange being a first year starter, already kind of feeling the effects of what the NFL life is like. Packers generally have a really strong front seven. You're seeing some impact out of their 2 rookies that they took out of Georgia. And yeah, I like that pick. I think that'll probably be one of the, in this pick'em league that I'm in, that'll be one of the 6 that I have to pick. Love football. So I'm in on that. Green Bay's the right side there at even as 9.5-point favorites. Going out west, Denver at Las Vegas. Vegas is a 2.5-point favorite here. Both teams are desperate. Vegas is extremely desperate, being that they're at 0-3. But I feel like that Denver offense may have found something late in that game against San Fran when Russell Wilson just kind of took it over. You started seeing some flashes of Russ late in that game when he started scrambling around a little bit more. Kind of felt like he was playing more of that, almost like not just like programmed, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of offense. It was more of the kind of freelancing street ball kind of, making plays kind of an offense that made Russell Wilson the player that he was in Seattle and made him the dynamic player that he was. You saw in that last drive when he just took over and he's like, F it, man, I'm doing this. And there was a genuine change in productivity from that offense. Josh McDaniels coming in 0-3, a lot of pressure, and now facing his former team. I'm sure that everybody in Denver hates the guy. Right. And so I think he, even if this is, and again, the Raiders 0-3, all 3 games, they've blown them late. I think that this could be another 1 possession loss for the Raiders as 2.5-point favorites. I'm going money line Denver here, and you're going to be able to cash in some, put down your $25. That can turn into much bigger winnings than if you just take the money line. So that's best bet number 2 for me. Denver money line over the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be an ugly game. I mean, these are 2 teams that have not gotten any rhythm going, nothing whatsoever. But yeah, Denver, I think, could maybe show some life in this one. Their defense has been playing solid. That is one thing that Denver does have going for them. They've been playing well on defense. If their offense can get going, they're 2-1 right now, tied with the Chiefs. So they're, by no means out of the division race.
Which is, think about we're all we're doing is burying the Broncos, but they're still 2-1.
Yeah.
And that has them tied at the top of the division right now. And all we're doing is talking shit about them. Like, this is the NFL, man. This is what it is.
Yep. You have one more NFL one then, Joe?
Yeah, my last one, last lock of the week is going to be weird to hear. Cleveland at Atlanta. I'm going to take over 47.5. Yes, it's Jacoby Brissett. Yes, it's Marcus Mariota. But over the first 3 weeks, the Browns have scored 29, or last week they scored 29 against that Pittsburgh D. Even without TJ Watt, that's still a strong defense. The week before that, Yes, it was the Jets, but they still put up 30 points. Atlanta, their first 3 weeks, 27 points. And this is in backwards order. So week 3, 27 points. Week 2, 26 points. Week 1, 28 points. Sounds like they're good for about 25 plus points. So, I think it's going to be, it is weird to say Jacoby Brissett, Mariota. I'm going to take the over, but I think it's more telling about how rough those defenses are. We know that Atlanta's defense that's been a week since, I don't know the last time they had a good defense.
Definitely not in the Super Bowl.
They looked really good through the first 2.5 quarters.
Yes.
And then, and Cleveland, their defense is, talent wise seems to be pretty strong, but they haven't been able to really hold anybody to minimal points. Plus, with that Myles Garrett accident, his car accident, his status right now is unknown. Again, live on a Thursday. I find it pretty hard to believe that he's going to play after he has strained his quad, strained his biceps, and had multiple lacerations from that car crash. Good. Obviously amazing news. His car flipped multiple times.
Yeah.
Extremely amazing news that he was able to just walk away, and that extremely minor injuries considering what that could have been, but still dealing with some of that. And his status is unknown. So I'm going to take the over of 47.5 in this Browns Falcons game. As ugly as that sounds, I think it's the smart play.
I like it. I'm going to do a couple of college ones here. I've got 3 for you, one of which we had talked about on yesterday's episode, and that is Kentucky 7-point dog at Ole Miss.
I don't get it.
Yeah. That to me just seems like easy money. So I'm all about Kentucky. Ole Miss is not going to cover the spread. And I like Kentucky winning that game outright. So we talked about that one in a little bit of detail. So
you can get that at plus 220 on the money line. So that's, if Kentucky wins that outright, that's a really nice payday.
Yep. Another game that I almost couldn't pick last week because it wasn't in our 7-point range for our upset special was Oregon State at USC. Oregon State road battle this week at Utah, and they're 10-point underdogs. They could possibly win that outright, but I think it's going to be a closer game than 10 points in this one. Chance Nolan's been looking phenomenal so far. Utah's offense it's been struggling a little bit. They haven't played a ton since that first game against Florida. So I like Oregon State in this one covering that, and not or Utah not covering this one too. I think
just to add on to that, you got to be a little bit disappointed in Cameron Rising. He was somebody that was talked about as potentially, no pun intended, a riser, somebody that could rise up in the rankings when it comes to draft time. And so far this season, he just hasn't really been there. I'm not saying he's garbage or anything, but he just hasn't gotten it done to the level that we had kind of hoped that he would.
Yep. My last one is one I just did not have the stones to pick as my upset pick of the week. And this one is a Big Ten battle. This is Purdue going on the road to Minnesota. Purdue is a 12-point underdog right now due to Aiden O'Connell's health status right now. They're not sure. He's a game time decision. This is one I would closely monitor because I think if he plays, I like Purdue in this one to be able to put up a fight here against Minnesota. And honestly, if I knew Aiden O'Connell was playing, I would have picked this as my upset of the week. I think I like Purdue in this one. Yes, they've had their struggles at TCF Bank Stadium, 0-6, but Purdue's defense has even been playing pretty solid so far this year. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown, and they've gone up against Sean Tucker at Syracuse, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen with Penn State. Their only rushing touchdown they've given up is Sean Clifford, so Penn State's quarterback. So that's the only one. And if Aiden O'Connell plays in this one, I think this is an easy one too. And I would not surprise me one bit if Purdue goes in and beats Minnesota.
Yeah, the only I mean, there's a difference though between those backs that you mentioned that Purdue has faced versus Muhammad Ibrahim. I mean, that dude is next level. I think I'm with you. 12 points is a ton. That means you think that Minnesota is going to win by 2 touchdowns. The way that Purdue can put up points, I don't see them keeping that, a 2 touchdown game. So I'm with you on that one as well.
Keep an eye though. Aiden O'Connell is the key piece to that, because
for sure. So
that he doesn't play, throw this out. It's not happening. So
again, live on a Thursday.
Yes. All right, let's get to our Drew locks. We are recording. We're about half hour out from the Thursday night game, so those guys are in play. We don't have any clue what their stats are going to be for tonight, as it is 6:47 Central Time on a Thursday. So if you're new to the program, Drew locks each week. Jill and I will pick a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end. Once you use a player, you cannot use them again, and you cannot pick the same player as your opponent for that spot. So Gel is odd weeks. I am even weeks. So week 4, I will go ahead and kick it off. I'll give a rundown of the scores.
Why don't you remind everybody who's winning here, buddy?
Yeah, so I have beaten Gel 2 out of the 3 weeks, but Gel still holds a 0.25 lead right now. So 71.45 to 71.2. And I just want to put a little asterisk there that I did pick David Montgomery, who got hurt, and his counterpart ran for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
I'll throw in an asterisk too, and that Michael Pittman didn't play for me in week 2.
Well, you were the one that picked him and knew he had the Q tag.
Okay, well, if we're throwing in for asterisks,
I am going to go ahead and kick it off with the game we've talked about yesterday and again today. And I'm going to lock in Josh Allen as my quarterback this week. I think that's going to be a nice high scoring affair. Should be able to maybe get a rushing touchdown out of him, couple passing touchdowns. So I think he's a no-brainer lock of the week for me.
Yeah, he was one of the 2 that I was kind of debating on. So I'll give it to you, buddy. I'll give it to you. All right, well, I'm gonna get over into that running back position, and I'm gonna go with playoff Lenny here. Okay. Kansas City is 25th defensively against running backs, and I just think with all the shit that's gone on in Tampa with the weather, with Hurricane Ian having to move, do their practices in Miami, I think there's a pretty good chance it's going to be a pretty simple offense, and there's still injury concerns on Tampa as well. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of the running game, and so I'm going to lock in Leonard Fournette here, man.
I like it. Well, I'm very glad you went with the running back position, because I am going to go over to the wide receiver position and go back to that Bills-Ravens game and lock in Josh Allen's favorite target, Stephon Diggs, for the stack this week. So no, don't need to explain that one too much. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and what better player to pick than Josh Allen's favorite target in the passing game?
Yeah, it's a nice stack. I kind of knew you were going to go Diggs there, so I've got another stack of my own. But let's move over to the tight end position here. Gerald Everett versus the Texans. Okay. There is no speed to be spoken for in LA, and Gerald Everett legit might be Herbert's fastest receiver. I mean, Mike Williams, not a burner, great downfield target, but it's not because of his speed. I think Gerald Everett looks a little bit faster in that number 7 jersey. If he was wearing 87, he might look like a little, like your typical tight end, but looks a little bit faster in that single digit jersey number. So Gerald Everett versus Houston as my tight end. Lock it in. Cha-ching.
I like it. I will go over to the running back position. Going to burn a big name here this week. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor going up against the Tennessee Titans.
Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, yes, JTT. Yeah, Titans have given up quite a bit on the ground. Saquon had that monster week 1 against them, and they've been just kind of a sieve. I like Indy playing at home this week as a favorite. I think they're going to be running the ball, trying to get that going, and I like JT this week.
Well, I'm going to lock in my own stack here, and we'll go with tonight's ball game. Joe Burrow as my quarterback. Miami played 91 plays on defense against the Bills last week. Now on a short week, I like the Bengals a ton, not just in fantasy wise, but they're 3.5 point favorites. We got about 30 minutes for me to lock in my for entertainment purposes only betting. But I really like Cincinnati here. I just think that Miami defense is going to be absolutely exhausted. So Joe Burrow, quarterback, Drew, lock it in.
I like it. My last position here is the tight end position, and going with a theme again. Had Kyle Pitts locked in last week against that Seahawks atrocious defense against tight ends. Kyle Pitts, my leading scorer, had a very nice game, and Detroit's playing Seattle this week, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is questionable, did not practice again on Thursday. Again, we're recording on Thursday, so not sure of his game time status, but I like TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson should have a nice game, especially if Amon-Ra is out. And again, Seattle's been giving up a ton of points to the tight end position. So I think Hawk's an easy lock.
I was very, very much contemplating going Hawk here. I just saw he was questionable on the injury report, but
he did practice today on Thursday. So
yeah, so if he plays, he's gonna ball out. Wide receiver time for my stack.
Tyler Boyd.
I almost said it. Guess who it is? Jamar Chase. Going to chasing down victories. So Jamar Chase it is, man.
Going to be chasing me in the standings after this week. That's for sure.
I can't believe that I'm not already.
I know, that is pretty nuts.
It's been a rough start to the Drew Locks. I've got another fantasy related question for you here before we dip out. So I had Trey Lance as my only quarterback in one of my leagues. And I went out and picked up number 1 and 2 overall picks from the 2015 draft, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, both on their second teams. Yikes. Yikes for their careers. I'm wondering, okay, do I want to start one of those two? Or these are my options on the waivers: Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Trubisky, Baker, Tannehill. Zach Wilson is coming back. Garoppolo.
Woof.
I know. Davis Mills, Matty Ice. I mean, there's others, but I don't even want to.
Yeah.
I guess the last couple were Davis Mills, Cooper Rush.
I mean, do you put your money where your mouth is in this one? Start Marcus Mariota. He said it's going to be a pretty high scoring game. That's kind of where I would lean right now. Jameis scares me a little bit just with, we don't know what the status is going to be of Michael Thomas, Kamara, Jarvis Landry, where that could potentially get ugly over in London if some of those guys aren't playing. Where you said you think that Browns Falcons game is going to be one that hits on the over. And if it hits on the over, Mariota should have a pretty decent day, I would think. I don't think Cordy P is going to be running in any touchdowns. More than likely to get into the end zone in the passing game. So I would think, I mean, he's not going to win you your week, but he's not going to goose or throw 3 picks.
If he
like
gooses,
Jameis
I swear to God. No, I mean, he threw for 229 last week in a score and then also ran in a ball. So that's the lean. I just didn't know. I mean, you heard that free agent crop. It is non-existent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the current lean right now is Mariota. Didn't know if you had any other.
You're not playing against me in that league, are you?
This is a league that you are not in.
Okay.
So
I probably should have asked that first.
I might as well wave the white flag if I was in a league if that was my quarterback in your league. I'm already 0-3 in this one, so it doesn't matter anyways.
Nice.
That's one way to sell the Drew Locks.
That'll wrap up this episode. Again, we can be found at Dead Arm Sports, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Dead Arm Sports. Into the YouTube search bar, I'll get you to our page. Subscribe, click the bell. Joe can be found at Das Gel. I can be found at Das JPEG. You can hit us up with any questions. Make sure you subscribe to our TikTok page. Joe will probably be firing off more bets this weekend outside of the ones we laid down for you today.
Knowing
so
how this normally goes, yes, probably.
For sure. What are some of the listening platforms, Joe?
Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Pods. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. You can find us just by searching Dead Arm Sports. Take a screenshot of that written review in whatever your chosen listening platform is. Send it to us in the DMs on Twitter or IG at Dead Arm Sports, and we've got some swag ready to give out to y'all.
Well, happy Saturday, everybody. Hopefully our betting tips help you win some cash this weekend. You can quit your jobs and tell the old boss.
Don't bet your life savings,
no,
please.
Do not. Responsible betting is the key to betting. So, but no, hope everyone
only bet what you're willing to lose. That's rule number one.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your football games for both NCAA and NFL. And Joe, close her out.
Let's win some money.